Welcome back to Book Break and welcome to the October book haul. I have a very full looking box of books next to me which has been packed for me as a surprise, and it is full of some of the most exciting books that we published here at Pan Macmillan in the month of October. So without further ado, let's dive into the box together. First book is Starling House by Alex E. Harrow, which I actually just read myself and I absolutely loved it. So I'm really excited to tell you about this. This is a Gothic fairy tale haunted house story. It combines so many different elements of different genres, which I loved how clever that was. It's also a small town mystery. It's also got dark family secrets. It's a romance. It's got a sort of Beauty and the Beast vibes in it. It's got lots of literary references overall. The book is about a haunted house, a family curse, but it's sort of a found family curse rather than being passed through any bloodline, which I thought was very clever. It is about a terrifying children's book that will haunt your nightmares and that might turn out to be more true than you realise. It is about a town being destroyed by the power plant that has been built there. It is about an older sister's love for her younger brother and trying with everything she's got to give him a better life. It is about so many things. It is wonderful and it is wonderfully spooky. And then we're going straight from spooky season into Christmas season because this is a new Carol Ann Duffy illustrated poem. I always love these this time of year. This one is called Christmas Eve at the Moon Underwater. So the Moon Underwater is a pub. The landlord of this pub announces a prize for the best performance of the night, and so all and sundry flock to the pub, eager for a chance at victory. And look at these gorgeous illustrations, really bringing this poem to life. I love Christmas, as you may know. In paperback now, Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. It's perfect timing for the prequel that's just coming out, Bookshops and Bone Dust. So do pick this one up if you haven't already. It's a lovely, cozy fantasy about an orc opening a coffee shop. She's done slaying monsters, she's ready to serve coffee. Now this is a beautiful thing, the McMillan Collection of Greek Myths. I can't open it up because it's actually wrapped up. It's going to have all these classic illustrations inside it. 20 stories including Persephone, Theseus and the Minotaur. This looks absolutely stunning. This is such a good Christmas gift. Maybe if I don't open this one up, I can just wrap it straight up and give this to my dad. He will love this. Straight into another perfect gifty one, The World of Sylvan Families. This is the official guide. I love these. I love these in books. I want more books to have these. If your For You page is anything like mine, you'll have been seeing a lot of TikToks of Sylvan Families, but they, long before they were the subject of TikToks, they were a beloved childhood toy and continue to be. And so this is the official guide to the world of Sylvan Families. This is lovely. Did any of you have Sylvan Families when you were younger? Let me know in the comments. Ooh, this one is now out in paperback. Wildcard by Jen County and Fiona Lensveld. I actually got these two to do a tarot card reading for me when the hardback of this book first came out, so I'll link to that below. We had a very interesting day. It was my first ever tarot reading and they read me like a book. So Wildcard you can buy now in paperback. This is kind of your guide to reading tarot cards and the different ways of interpreting it. They have a slightly different spin on it than a lot of the other ones that I've seen that's kind of focused less on like the magical elements, kind of fortune telling, and it's more about interpreting your life through the cards. I know there's lots of different schools of thought about how to use tarot, so that's kind of where they fit in. There's a new Roy Grace novel by Peter James. This is Stop Them Dead. This is, what book number is this? I just counted these up and I believe this is book number 19 in the Roy Grace series. You may have seen that series on TV. This one involves a ruthless crime and a race against time. In the dead of night, a farmer hears a suspicious noise. It's everyone's worst nightmare, a break-in. Oh no, and then he dies. Roy Grace to the rescue. I've been excited to get my hands on this one. Hockey Girl Loves Drama Boy by Faith Erin Hicks. So Faith Erin Hicks is an illustrator. She has teamed up with Rainbow Rowell before on Pumpkinheads, which is a book I absolutely loved. But this one is written and illustrated by Faith Erin Hicks. And it is a love story between, as it says on the cover, a hockey girl and a drama boy. Alex, who is on the hockey team, and Ezra, who is a popular and poised theatre kid, start hanging out and getting closer. This beautiful thing is a special edition of Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. These are some of my favourite books. I've made so many videos. I will link below to the most recent one I made, which was me actually presenting a PowerPoint of all the different moments that I cried while reading the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series. But this is the first one in the series, and it has now been repackaged into this beautiful special edition to celebrate the fact that it is a global bestseller, over 1 million copies sold. It's just fantastic. And this is stunning. So we've got lovely foil detailing on here and beautiful time travel end papers. This is a beautiful book to put in anyone's stocking this Christmas. This is another compilation put together by my lovely colleague Charlie Castelletti. So in last month's book haul I showed you his collection, The Book Lover's Guide to the Zodiac. And this one is called My Gothic Heart, and it's got extracts from Gothic literature. A tantalising anthology celebrating Gothic writing in all its forms. And it's taken the quote from Wuthering Heights, "I cannot live without my life, I cannot live without my soul." So that is the level of passion that you will find in these extracts. Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake is out now in paperback. This is very different from a lot of her other writing. This is a love story, and it's a story about mental health, and it is really beautiful, and I have seen lots of people crying to it over on TikTok. I've been working closely this year with some of our top Olivia Blake mega fans, and so I will link to some of their videos about this book below because they can do this book more justice than I ever could. They're so passionate about all of Olivia Blake's writing, which I love to see, so I will link below to their videos. Now this is absolutely stunning. I know I keep saying gift guide for every book, but this book needs to be a Christmas present. This is a treasury of ballet stories. It's got 4 captivating retellings. For example, Sleeping Beauty. That, by the way, was a coincidence that I opened that perfectly to the title page there. So it retells these classic stories that we have seen in ballet with beautiful illustrations. It's got Swan Lake, Sleeping Beauty, The Firebird and The Nutcracker, and is a glorious celebration of dance, theatre and fairy tale. I absolutely love ballet. I do think that it is mesmerising and beautiful and makes me cry, and so I love that you can now kind of look at, like, these illustrations are so beautiful the way they bring dance to life on the page. All the colour and the costuming that you get on stage as well, you can really see in this book. Beautiful. And speaking of the Nutcracker, this is The Nutcracker and the Mouse King's Christmas Shenanigans by Alex T. Smith. The Mouse King is up to some very sneaky shenanigans. Can the adventurers stop the Mouse King's naughty plan before it's too late? I love Alex T. Smith's imagination. He tells such wonderful Christmas stories for children, and also, of course, is a very talented illustrator. I mean, look at this. The magic of Christmas right there. If you love Before the Coffee Gets Cold, you will love The CAA Food Detectives by Hisashi Kashiwai. This is another story translated from Japanese, also set in a cafe, but instead of time travel, like Before the Coffee Gets Cold, in this book, the father-daughter duo who run this cafe will recreate dishes from your past, and in doing so help you bring certain memories to life or help you come to terms with certain things about your life. And so it's divided into a few different vignettes, different people that come to the cafe for different reasons. So it's a very similar kind of format to Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and just as tear-jerking. I wept my way through these. They're so lovely. I loved going on these journeys with the characters, and also feeling really hungry because the food in here sounded delicious in every way. I did a whole video with my colleague Anna, which I will link to below, where we went on a little search to try and recreate some of the food mentioned in this book, and we had a very delicious day. I really enjoyed it. like I said, I will link to that video so you can click through and watch it, but warning, it might make you hungry. Now this one looks exciting and is a book that I hadn't really known about, so I just love getting to discover some books from our list that I hadn't had on my radar already. So this is When Ghosts Call Us Home by Katja de Bessera. This looks right up my alley. I'm seeing so many buzzwords that I love, like cult and infamous house, truth left buried. So this is about a girl called Sophia who, when she was 12, she starred in an amateur horror movie set in their old Californian house on the coast. But that movie inspired a cult. So we're now 5 years later, so our main character is now 17, and her sister, who created this cult-inspiring horror movie, has disappeared, and Sophia is plagued by nightmares of that now infamous house. So to find her sister, Sophia must return to the very place where it all began. I love this! I want to read this now. Finding Hilda Say by Christian Lewis is a non-fiction book that looks really inspiring. It's about how one man walked the UK's coastline and found hope and happiness. So this sounds like the perfect book for fans of things like The Salt Path. Chris had hit rock bottom, suffering with depression so severe he would shut himself in his bedroom for weeks. Then one day, while surfing, his only respite, he cast his eyes along the coastline and realised it was the only place he really wanted to be. So he set himself the challenge of walking the entire coastline of the UK, and with just a tenner in his pocket, he set off. And he didn't realise quite how long it would take him to cross the finish line and how much that experience would turn his life around. And for more inspiring stories like that, Heroes by Marcus Rashford is full of how to turn inspiration into action. So it features 10 real-life inspiring heroes and their stories. It includes profiles of Sir Alex Ferguson, Beyoncé, Muhammad Ali, Serena Williams, and more. They are all heroes. So we know that Marcus Rashford is such a hero himself. He's run such an incredible campaign to end child food poverty. And so if these are the people that inspired him, I want to hear their stories. Find out how his heroes can help you to be your best self and make a difference to the world around you. It's a really lovely book aimed for children to inspire them to change the world, but also a book that anyone of any age could read. Brian Bilston fans, rejoice because he has a new poetry collection, and so this is Christmas. 51 seasonally adjusted poems. Brian Bilston's poetry always makes me laugh so much. I just think he's brilliant. He writes these really timely, relevant, accessible, hilarious poems, and these are all about the most wonderful time of the year. For example, this haiku in praise of the 12th of December. I love Christmas Eve. Eve, 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 Eve. I hope I said the right number of Eves there. That was hard. Ooh, another book that I hadn't seen before that's exciting. An Improbable Season by Rosalind Eves. This is a YA Regency drama about falling in love with another person and with yourself. So it's about 3 girls in Regency era England setting off to London for their first London season. And they each have different goals. Talia wants to publish her poetry, her sister Callie wants to take high society by storm, and their cousin Caris hopes to earn her place among the scientific elite. I love that. So they're all going to be debuting in society, but it's a little bit different from the connotations that we usually get of that. This is a book I've been very excited about. This is Out There Screaming, which is an anthology of horror stories. I know, I'm a complete wimp, but somehow I do really like reading horror stories. And the stories are all collected by Jordan Peele. So this is an anthology of Black authored horror showcasing some of the best Black writing that we have, and they're all going to be absolutely terrifying. It's got writers like Tananarive Due in here, the author of The Good House. I loved that book. N.K. Jemisin, incredible. So many brilliant writers in here. And look at these terrifying end pages. They're watching you. So very much in keeping with Jordan Peele's other projects, this is a groundbreaking anthology of brand new stories of Black horror, exploring not only the terrors of the supernatural, but also the chilling reality of injustice that haunts our world. I think this is such a great idea, and I am really excited to terrify myself by reading these stories. Maybe not just before bed. A different kind of anthology, 365 Poems for Life, is a poetry collection compiled by Ali Aziri. Ali Aziri is brilliant at creating these kind of year-long guides to poetry, and she's done a few different themes. So she's done like Shakespeare for every day of the year, and she's done poetry for every day of the year and for every night of the year. And this one is an uplifting collection for every day of the year, poems that are designed to nourish your mind and soothe your soul. So again, not to sound like a broken record, but this would be a really good Christmas present. It's giving them the gift of an uplifting start to every single day. That's a really good present. The first thing I always do when I get Ali Aziri books is look up what poem she's chosen for my birthday. And that poem is The Unknown Bird by Edward Thomas, which is not a poem that I know. So that's great. A new little surprise treat for me on my birthday. 2 books to go. One of them was possibly the book in October that had the most excitement around it, and that is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, the highly anticipated first adult book written by Cassandra Clare. This is epic medieval romantasy. I was really lucky to get the chance to actually meet Cassandra Clare and talk to her a little bit about this book, and that video will be coming out in 2 days. So keep your eyes on this channel, make sure you've subscribed, and then you can see I had a really fun day learning about fantasy books, from classic books all the way up to new releases. I got to go to the British Library and explore their fantasy exhibition, and Cassandra Clare also came along for the ride, and we got to have a chat about fantasy, which was really fun. So subscribe to this channel so you don't miss that. But this chunky, beautiful book is Swordcatcher. It's the first book in the Chronicles of Castellane series, and it's got a beautiful map. So it's got everything that you need for a cracking fantasy read. And finally, I started with a haunted house story, so it seems fitting that I'm finishing with a haunted house story, and I'm actually going to be filming a video about the best haunted house stories, which will be coming out in a couple of weeks, so watch out for that one, and it will definitely feature both Starling House, which we started with, and this book, Palace of Shadows by Ray Celestine, which I have read and loved. It is a Gothic horror story about an impossible building. If you think about those paintings with impossible seeming rooms, staircases that join around to themselves, doorways that open from the ceiling, those kind of illusion, creepy paintings, imagine that brought to life in a haunted house. That is the level of terrifying that you will find in this book. It's about an artist who is brought along to be the architect for this project, expanding this already terrifyingly large, looming, confusing labyrinth of a house. And when he gets there, he realizes that what is actually going on in this project is a lot darker than he realized, and that he may have just signed away his safety. So, bookended by haunted house stories, that was our October book haul. So many really, really good books that we published this month. Let me know in the comments below which of those you're most excited for, and I will link here to a playlist of all of our previous book hauls as well, so you can click through and have a watch of those videos, and I will see you next time.